All right, guys, we are live, and I'm 21 minutes late. Usually we go right at 8 o'clock on Wednesday or Thursday nights. And I tell you what, I'm going without notes tonight. We're going to wing it, and because I think it's going to be an easy show tonight. I think a lot of you want to talk football recruiting. I think a lot of you want to talk about the state of LSU football, all the rumors that are out there, and they are aplenty. And I think some are starting to come back around. So, as always, we're brought to you each week by Pride Roofing LLC. I'm going to talk about Mike Faraday and Alex and their fantastic company, the best roofing company in Louisiana. We'll talk about them a little bit later in the broadcast. But I want to get to as many of you guys' recruiting questions tonight as possible. Put out a huge probables, possibles, and questionables in last night's all-day chat on TigerBait.com. If you missed that, go to TigerBait.com. You'll see it on the front page, and you'll be able to see the recap. I'm told by a couple of trusted sources that I pretty much nailed the probables and possibles. Of course, I had Logan Diggs in the possible category, and as soon as I did that, 45 minutes later, the LSU offer went out to the Rummel running back. He's a fantastic one. And I don't know if some of you old-timers have watched his video, his highlight video, but I watch him, and Kevin Falk's recruiting him, and I can't help but look at him and see how much he reminds me of former LSU running back and, of course, of Destrehan, Rondell Mealy, who played at LSU in the late 90s. He looks very similar. Running style, height, weight, the works. And talked to him earlier today. For a full update that I'm going to have posted later tonight about his offer and what it means. And he's going to make a decision next Wednesday. So he's currently committed to Notre Dame. That's going to be interesting. I think there's a lot of interesting storylines that are going to be taking place here in the next few weeks. So I want to give a lot of you guys an opportunity to get in the chat. Do me a favor, as always, each week, please hit the share button. If you're on YouTube, we'll get to your comments as well. Hit the like button on YouTube if you like what we're doing here at TigerBait.com and you think we're giving you a bunch of good stuff tonight. Please hit the like button on YouTube, subscribe, hit the notification bell so every time we go live, you'll get notified there. I know a lot of you are getting notified on Facebook, so we're streaming both places. We've been doing it that way for several weeks. I looked at Preston's numbers from last night. His show looks like he's setting a record on YouTube as far as that goes. So, okay, Eric DeLion, first question from YouTube. I think LSU will play hard against Florida, and Max will do well. Yeah, Ed Orgeron earlier this evening met with the media after a practice and meets with the media every Thursday after practice on a game week and said that it's likely that Max Johnson will get the start. It's not 100%. They'll solidify that tomorrow, but the fact that he said that tonight is probably pretty telling. I think both quarterbacks will play. We've had the debate here on the TigerBait postgame show and on our weekly shows as to which guy gives LSU the best opportunity to do some damage offensively. I'm not favoring either one. I've just thought that TJ, with his ability to throw the ball downfield and his accuracy, is a guy. But look, at this point in the season, give Max his opportunity. And maybe they start clicking on Saturday at the Swamp. They're going to need a lot of help. They're going to need Kyle Trask to do something he hasn't done. He's a Heisman Trophy candidate. They're going to need to get some favors from him. Chase Myers, do you see Keanu Cott and Wiggins flipping? I do not. My source tells me that both of those guys are solid to LSU, and both are expected to sign. At the same time, we could be saying that right now, and all of a sudden, look, this is the worry. I think a lot of times, particularly if you talk to an LSU source, which they can't talk recruiting publicly, but they can talk to media off the record. And look, I've been doing this now. Next year will be 25 years I've been covering recruiting. Nobody's done it longer than I have, and I've seen it all. I've seen recruits tell coaches one thing, absolutely lie through their teeth, and do something the next day. And it's usually this time of year where you've got recruits that, one, they're getting hammered by guys like me for interviews. Some of them are still playing in the playoffs, depending on which state they're in and how good their football team is. And they've got college coaches burning their phones up, trying to get access to them and flip them. And certainly there's a lot of negative recruiting going on against LSU right now with the type of season they're having, the stuff that's in the newspapers. And I think some of the, I'm not a guy that, people over the years would say, yeah, Scarborough's not going to, or he's going to be negative, or I find myself defending Ed Orgeron more than the biggest homers I know out there. I think a lot of the stuff that's going on right now with the program is a lot of piling on. I think it's unfair to Ed Orgeron. I think the stuff earlier in the week with Rique Gilbert and what he's dealing with, that's why I kind of soft-pedaled it on our TigerBait message board with the information I had on Monday. I'm hearing former players, not former players that are talk show hosts, but former players, rehashing the stuff that happened months ago. That doesn't do anything but be a detriment to Ed Orgeron, his staff, and their ability to finish off this recruiting class. And I think a lot of it needs to stop. YouTube Junkie, Max did a better job against Alabama. Yeah, look, YouTube Junkie, I'm all good with Max getting his opportunity. I think both are going to play. Give Max the start, and maybe he'll flourish. Get a bunch of guys, young guys, the opportunity. Joseph Thaddeus Giot, who will be the surprise commit on National Signing Day? I don't know that there's going to be a surprise. I think the main focus right now, and before I went to air tonight, talking to a source, an Ohio State source, saying that they're confident up there at Ohio State that they're going to flip Rayshawn Davis. I mean, we were hearing a week or two ago that USC was the one to worry about. Now there's a confidence in Columbus with the Buckeyes flipping one of the top guys in LSU's class, the linebacker Rayshawn Davis. So we're going to see how this plays out. He's not going to be an early signee. He's going to wait till February. So I think there's going to be some guys that probably sign next week, but their national letter of intent's not going to go officially up on the website. I think that's going to make some people nervous. I feel good about Tristan Lee after his visit to Oklahoma last weekend. He's going to be in Gainesville this Saturday when LSU's in town. You can read that two ways. I think it's a positive for LSU. If you notice, a lot of guys, and I know a bunch of them, that cover the Oklahoma Sooners. And depending on what network they were on, they weren't making predictions or crystal balls on Monday, Tristan Lee to Oklahoma. The word I'm sticking with Tristan Lee as a probable to LSU. Now, does he actually sign a national letter of intent because he's a midterm graduate? They keep it secret, and then he announces January 2nd in the NBC telecast, the former U.S. Army All-American Bowl. There's no game, but they're going to do a recruiting show. Could be Jordan Gilbert of U High supposed to announce that day as well. Safety that LSU has offered. We'll see what he ends up doing. Cameron Rogers, do you think Cameron Rogers, Cameron was real good in our last chat. Glad to have you back, Cameron. Do you think not going to the bowl game is going to be enough for the NCAA? Look, it's something you can add. There's a cynical, we were tossing that around a week or two ago, laughing about it. Maybe they can, throw that into the pot and hope that'll spicing things up and give the and hope that the NCAA accepts that. We'll see. Monday, Ed Orgeron said that certainly he would use that, and it would be good for his young players to get extra practice time. You could have up to 10 midterm enrollees, true freshmen that depend on bowl practices, depending on which bowl it would have been. The flip side of it is after some of the painful nationally televised games that we've witnessed with LSU, and you hope that Florida is not a carbon copy or close to it of the last one. And Lane Kiffin and Ole Miss would love to finish the season, his first season, with a win over LSU. And then that would have LSU starting the season with the loss to Mississippi State, first-year head coach Mike Leach, and ending the season with a loss to first-year head coach Lane Kiffin at Ole Miss. I think a lot of people have checked out. They don't want to see it anymore. Back in July, we were just hoping we would have an LSU football season, no matter what it would be, whether it was 4 games, 6 games. We just wanted football. And now I think a lot of us, most LSU fans I talk to, if you said, hey, the Florida and the Ole Miss games aren't happening, they'd be fine. They want to see the recruiting class get signed. They want to see the changes that Ed Orgeron's going to make, and I think there's going to be a lot of them. I think the over-under on LSU changes, coaching changes, or let's put it this way, the over-under on how many coaches on the current staff will be back for next year, I'm going to set it at 4. So if I'm the one collecting the money and you're going under or over, I think 4 is the middle number. So we'll see. What do you guys think about that? Garrett Galjour, evening, Mike. Do you think any positive news will come soon? And again, I think that's one of the things about getting this football season over, because I think moving forward, other than what's going to happen with the Title IX report when that gets done in February, I think anything after the season over is going to be positive. Get the recruits, finish this very good recruiting class off. Certainly need to finish with a slew of offensive linemen. Big need in this class. Going to need some more linebackers to go along with the 4 safeties on defense, no doubt. Mason Smith, I still have as a problem. And then get your hires. Get excited about a new look, new guys in the building, new assistant coaches. Hopefully we're through COVID and junior days start happening early in the spring. Hopefully we're through COVID and spring football goes off without a hitch and recruits are able to come on campus and start being there for practices in the spring football game. Hopefully all this stuff comes our way. I just dread that the COVID thing is going to linger and we're going to be a half a year into 2021 and we're still dealing with lockdowns and no visits, unofficial, etc. We need to get, as far as LSU football, we need that stuff to get taken care of. Rick Westfall, which four offensive linemen, I'm assuming? Garrett Dellinger obviously is a signee. I think, look, Savion Byrd from Duncanville, Texas, I think I should have something on him this weekend. That's still a toss-up between LSU and SMU. Strong ties. Former coach, current coach to the SMU program in that area. I think Jordan Macchianoli, the Florida State commitment, is a possibility for LSU. And then from there, so that's 3 right there. If you would, in Tristan Lee, obviously, I think Tristan Lee will be a part with Dellinger. And you either add Savion Byrd, Macchianoli, and then if going from there, is there a grad transfer? Is a JUCO? You got the Jordan Moko kid from Snow College in Utah, the Australian. He's in Australia right now. He's posting workout vids every day from down under. Kid's impressive, but everybody in the country is going to want him. Once signing day happens next Wednesday and the dust settles, every coaching staff is going to look at, okay, what didn't we get? What's left out there? Who didn't sign that we thought we were going to get, and they did a number on us, and then you've got January to fill those spots. And hopefully LSU's got a strong idea of who 3 guys are, and if they want a 4th offensive lineman, then they'll make a target there. But I think the last thing you want is to not have a good, strong 3rd and 4th guy as far as offensive linemen in this class. Chase Myers, is it true that Woodward wanted Pelini more than Coach O? I have not heard that. I've been kind of getting critical of Scott Woodward lately, and I'm not, maybe it's because he's been a bit quiet. How much of it is his hands are tied because it's a COVID year and an $80 million shortfall? But I think there's been a lot of things that we thought were going to happen, whether it be with compliance, the indefinite suspensions or the secret suspensions for guys, and we know what that is, that seems to only befall LSU players and why they miss games every season. That's still taking place. That's got to get fixed. People have had it up to here with that. You've got kids out there now smoking synthetic marijuana, and because they think that that'll get out of their system quicker than the real stuff, and that physically can do some real harm and kill you. So anyways, I went off on a tangent on that, but look, I think that I don't think Woodward medals that way. I think Orgeron wanted that guy. I do know that because LSU finished the season late, that mid-January, a lot of coaching staffs have been hired, coordinators have been hired. You know, what kind of list was LSU looking at then? So there's a defensive coordinator out there that I think could be on LSU's list, and I think we're going to see how this plays out in the next couple of weeks. I think there is going to be some excitement with who LSU can draw, and they just need to get through these next 2 weeks, and that way I think some positive news is going to come your way. Let's see here. Esteban, bring in Grant Hurd, Clint Trickett. Boy, Clint Trickett, I'm getting old. He was a player years ago. His dad, Rick, was the offensive line coach at LSU, under Nick Saban. Before he went to Florida State, Clint was a little guy back then. Major Applewhite, I'm not. I think there might be some other names as far as the offensive side of things, but we'll see. That's going to be very interesting. I don't see Linehan coming back. All sorts of rumors about Steve Ensminger. Is he going to retire? I'm always hesitant to do that because people have been talking about him retiring for a decade. I say that every week. I think Steve Ensminger can do whatever he wants to do. He's earned it. But I do think there's going to be a lot of new faces. I think Corey Raymond, Kevin Falk, Bill Bush, depending on what he wants to do. And then I think everybody else is probably up in the air at LSU right now. I think James Craig will be safe if he wants to be. The problem with that is if you do bring in a new offensive coordinators usually want their offensive line coach. So that's where you can get tricky. I think that's been some of the detriment is that when Ed Orgeron got the job, because he didn't have the political capital and the way he got the job, he inherited Les Miles' staff, kept a good many of them, brought in some of his guys. Whereas, normally a guy takes over a program and he walks in after a big search and he's got all the fanfare and he's able to clean house and bring in everybody, his own people in every spot. And I'm not just talking about assistant coaches. It can be everybody in the building. And that's something that Ed Orgeron done. There's a lot of people in the LSU football program that go back to the early 90s. And sometimes that can be good in some aspects, and in other ways it can't be bad. And it's not saying that some people aren't doing good jobs and at what they do. But that's one thing that LSU has never done in all of these coaching hires since Hallman, DiNardo, Saban, Les Miles, and Ed Orgeron, is there's really been not much turnover as far as support staff inside the LSU football program, not like you see everywhere else. And sometimes like I said, it's not to, throw anybody under the bus or say somebody's not valuable, they're not doing a good job. But that's usually part of changing your culture, getting things new, and getting some new ideas infused into the program. Let's see. I'll tell you what, I want to real quick, you guys do me a favor. Share this to your Facebook feed. If you're on YouTube, please hit the like button, subscribe. And I want to go ahead and I want to talk about Pride Roofing. They're a valuable sponsor of ours, the official roofing company of TigerBait.com. Mike Faraday, I grew up with him in Sherwood Forest. He's a Broadmoor High School grad, LSU grad. Best labor warranty in the roofing business in Louisiana, 5 years plus. And the San Tammany's, Tangipahoa, whether you go all the way to Lake Charles, the Gulf Coast of Mississippi, southern Mississippi, all the way to Alexandria. They're adding new trucks seems like every month they're adding another truck or two. Absolutely phenomenal people. Better Business Bureau, highest rating, commercial and residential, free inspections, free quotes. And please do me a favor, say you heard about them on TigerBait.com. I just think between Alex Martinez, Mike Faraday, fantastic people, and licensed, insured, commercial, residential, boots on the ground from Lake Charles to Biloxi. A lot of people have suffered roof damage. If you think that you might be a year away from a new roof and you just want to get an idea how much it's going to cost you, give them a call. Give them a call right there, 225-275 2041. That's, if you dial that 225 number, they're going to know that you heard about it on TigerBait.com. Say you heard about them on TigerBait, and it would be much appreciated. They use the Xactimate software to give you your quote, which is the same software that your insurance company and insurance adjusters are using. So they're on the same page with them. And the turnaround time for big roofs and high quality roofs, they're there, and they've got you done. Sometimes if it's a, say a 2,500 square foot house, they can do a whole roof, tear down and build in a day. And fantastic work. And I've seen a lot of their work myself. So give Pride Roofing a call, much appreciated. The official roofing company of TigerBait.com. Joseph Fuselier, any word on Mason Smith? I have him a probable to LSU. He will sign next week. I don't see there being any issues with him. And of course, he's a fantastic defensive lineman. And by the way, stay tuned. I was going to do it on Monday. And with all the fanfare and everything that was out there news-wise, I held off. And either Sunday or Monday, I'm going to put out the final top 15, TigerBait's final top 15 for Louisiana for the class of 2021. There's going to be some interesting moves in there. I've seen them all in person. And I think we've gotten a lot of it right. I think it's going to be the most accurate rating that you'll see out there. And very proud of it. And so stay tuned to TigerBait for that. We'll have corresponding video, interviews, and so forth with that as well. So we'll see. Chase Myers, do you think LSU will get Langston? No, I'm not. I know his name surfaced with a lot of guys. I'm not seeing it. In my probables, possibles, and questionables, I'm not seeing it. Brett Garafola, there he is. Mike, do we still have a shot at the defensive duel? I'm assuming Corey Foreman, Mason Smith. I think Corey Foreman stays out west. I really do. And I'll say that and watch him re-up with Clemson. But I think it's going to be either USC or Arizona State for him. We'll see how that plays out for Corey Foreman. But I will say this. I think Landon Jackson is going to be a beast. He'll be 100% healthy in April. We had that story on TigerBait a couple of Fridays ago. And Savion Jones from St. James, if you haven't seen him, he's an absolute beast. And it wouldn't surprise me that if 2-3 years from now, Savion Jones isn't a bigger name than Corey Foreman. That might be a prediction I might be willing to make soon. Let's see. Jared Bryant. Hey, Mike, is there a way LSU gets a young, energetic coordinators? Yes, there is. In fact, look, you can have a list right now of guys you want to talk to. If you're Ed Orgeron on the staff, that doesn't mean you're going to get them. But I think that they've got a very good list to work from for whatever jobs that they're going to have open, which, like I said, I think there's going to be a lot of new faces. And I think they're looking forward to it. I think it's going to be a plus. I just think the next 2 weeks, boy, it would be great if you could finish 1-1 the next 2 weeks. But bottom line, let's have a good signing day next week. And I think LSU is going to bounce back, and we'll have a good spring. Sage Ryan, does he sign? Garrett, yes, he does. No issues with Sage Ryan. He is all on board with LSU. And Chance Babin, how do we clean up the locker room and still retain players for depth? I think national recruiting hurts our culture. I had that discussion yesterday with somebody. And I don't want to, look, there's been positions at LSU the last several years where you needed to go nationally. You have to go nationally for offensive linemen. Next year, you got Emory Jones at Catholic High, and my guy Will up there at, Neville. And I think that, look, those two are going to be fantastic. But that's a rare year. It's not often that, you have Will Campbell and Emory Jones. Those two don't come every year. So I think that, look, you got to do that nationally. But are there times where you're probably better off if there's not much of a sliver of a difference between a guy in your backyard or down the road in New Orleans versus a guy out of state. I think the guy in state has more of an incentive to stay the course and do the right thing because of where he came from and not wanting to let his whole hometown down, his former teammates down, everybody he grew up with who wore purple and gold. I think that is a big facet that a lot of people don't talk about. Whereas if a guy comes here from, I'm just going to say, make up a town, Virginia Beach, or no, let me don't do that. There's Virginia Beach guys. Let's say Clarksville, Tennessee. He leaves LSU and he goes home, and there's really no blowback. Not that you want there to be blowback, but there's not a whole lot of people who are just kind of like, oh man, because they're not invested in LSU. There's a good chance a Louisiana kid, his family's invested, his hometown's invested, all his former high school teammates are invested, the coaching staff at that school, half of them might have went to LSU or were LSU fans regardless where they graduated from college. I think that's a factor that needs to be considered. Yes, Gary Williams. Esteban has it for you. Yeah, Sage Ryan's not an issue. Joseph Giat, Steve Ensminger needs to be an analyst hire and a young OC in Bo Pelini hasn't met expectations. Corey Raymond's not a defensive coordinator. He's a position coach. You don't elevate a guy to be a defensive coordinator at the level of the program of LSU. I'm not taking a shot at Corey Raymond, but you want a guy who's called defenses and has some experience. I think if you had to elevate anybody, if you just absolutely had to hire somebody, or say Bo Pelini would have had COVID at some point this season. If you had to get someone to call the defense, it probably would have been Bill Bush. He's called a defense before. So I think Corey Raymond's a position coach and a recruiting coordinator. Dale Broussard, possible silent commits. Ed Orgeron says he got one Monday night. I think I have an idea who it is. I'm not going to say. But yeah, no, there's kids who have told him he's coming, no doubt. They've got an idea who they're going to get next week. They're talking to parents, and when this one and that one's rumored to be flipping or a flip possibility, they're being told, no, coach, we're coming. We're signing next week. Just because they haven't committed doesn't mean that he doesn't have one. So, Aranda not taking Bush to Baylor is telling. No, he wanted Bush. Bush didn't go. Now there's some people that think that Bush might join him now, but I think Bush needs to stay. He's one of the most valuable recruiters on this staff. You don't win a national championship without Bill Bush and that Joe Burrow connection. So let's see. Any more of your questions? Cameron Rogers brings up one that a lot of people have talked about. I would look at Derrick Mason as a DC, as long as he doesn't try to have a first female linebacker or have play like a girl on the back of the helmets. That's some good stuff, Cameron. Derrick Mason's name's been brought up a lot, and Orgeron has talked highly about him multiple times. Familiar with him. I like Derrick Mason. I'm not gonna slight him and his ability as a coach because of his tenure at Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt chews up and spits out a lot of good coaches. Let's see here, Papa. How many early enrollees? Brett Hunter wants to know. How many early enrollees does LSU get? Good question. I was told the number was 10 about 4 to 6 weeks ago. Is that number 7 or 8 now? I think we're going to find out next week. It still could be 10, up to 10, I think is what maybe they can do. I'll have a number for that on that for you. Maybe on our post-game show Saturday night, I'll have that answer for you. But I was told 10 a month to 6 weeks ago, so we'll see if that's still the case. Yeah, Joseph Giat brings up Charlie Strong. Yeah, his name was thrown to me today. There's the BFF, Ashley Paxton Duncan. Thanks for showing up, Ashley. Let's see. Do we get Munoz back? I was talking about him yesterday with somebody. that really matters for the future of LSU. Boy, I tell you what, he's a very good coach. I'm just wondering when he's going to get a shot as a position coach somewhere or as an offensive coordinator. Does he have to go to a mid-major? I know Joe Burrow thought the world of Munoz. Everybody in Lafayette were touting him from Hudspeth's staff. That's how he got on Orgeron's staff. And I don't know that he can ever come back to LSU. I'm not sure how that ended in Baton Rouge for him. But he is an excellent coach, and we'll see what happens. Samuel Hostin, any updates on Nussmeier's injury? I've got somebody going to film Garrett tomorrow night on behalf of TigerBait.com. So I will have an interview and video for you this weekend. In fact, thanks for reminding me. I need to reach out to my guy to make sure he's indeed going tomorrow night, first playoff game. So I'm pretty sure I'm going to have that for you this weekend. Garrett, have you heard anything on rique Gilbert? Look, I think that there's a good shot that he comes back to LSU. I know a lot of people are dooming and glooming and thinking the worst. I think he's got a good opportunity to come back. Is it 50-50, 60-40, 40-60? I don't know. But I don't think it's a slam dunk that he's going to be a Georgia Bulldog or something like that next season. I tell you what I do think. I think that, look, what's Joe Burrow doing right now? He's not playing. Joe Burrow is one of the most respected guys, and eyeballs get this big around from a high school player. You know, I almost feel like Joe Burrow ought to reach out to some of these kids and talk to them. Of course, now I'm wondering what the compliance issue is on that, if there is one. But I'd be using Joe Burrow as much as possible if it's legal. I think he can talk to sense into some kids, and on top of what Ed Orgeron and his staff are already trying to do themselves. Will Muschamp, John Mason, man, I think Will Muschamp probably needs to sit out of football a few years. He's collecting big paydays, and, you know, I don't know what his desire is of, you know, I don't know how good of an analyst he might be on the SEC network, if that's where he shows up for a year or two. I don't know. I'd go with a newer face than that for a DC. Let's see. Any worries on JoJo Earl? None. I haven't had any worries on JoJo Earl. I think LSU is going to get the offensive line fixed. You're about to have Garrett Nussmeier at midterm to go along with Miles Brennan, and hopefully he's 100% as soon as possible. And TJ Finley, Max Johnson. And then next year you got Walker Howard coming in. So they're going to get this ship right. We're going to see who they get in here on both sides of the ball to get this ship right at LSU. This is, yeah, Dale Broussard, Corey Foreman staying out west. I believe he does. Mike Duyon, 10 early enrollees seems low to me. No, I don't think that's low. That's actually a big number. But that number might be 7 or 8 now. That 10 number that I got was 4 to 6 weeks ago. And when I've asked a few times if that's still the case, I haven't really gotten an answer. So I think it's a subscriber. We've got loads of recruiting stuff that's going to be coming out in the next week leading into signing day. Like I said, we've got our top 15 final for Louisiana coming out either Sunday or Monday. I've got multiple recruiting updates that I'm sitting on right now that I'm about to roll out. If you didn't, go check our premium chat yesterday. I've got the probables, possibles, and questionables, and I think I pretty much nailed it yesterday. Now, it can change in a day or two. But I think the way that looks and way it sits right now, you'll want to check that out in TigerBait's chat. $1 gets you on the site for 1 week. Try us out. Do it now. You'll be through signing day. And like I always say, choose the annual package. With the annual package, you basically get 3 months free, and it's the best deal. On the front page of TigerBait right now, we have our little gift card, Christmas gift card deal promo going on. Everybody who got the Christmas gift card last year giving an annual subscription to TigerBait as a Christmas gift. That was a great Christmas for everybody. I've seen where almost all of them have already renewed, the ones that got it last year. If you got an LSU fan in your life, no better stocking stuffer or a gift than an annual subscription to TigerBait. They'll use it every day. They'll be on our message boards. They'll get our text alerts for breaking news, our newsletters, our premium content, our prospect video, all the interactions on our message board. And I'll live on it 24/7. So we want to have you and them as a subscriber. And give yourself a Christmas gift, TigerBait.com. If you're an LSU fan, we would absolutely love to have you on board with us as a premium subscriber. And please like, share this video, YouTube and Facebook, whichever platform you're watching us. We'll be back here on Saturday after the game for our post-game show. We're trying to get it uncorked early as possible, 45 minutes to an hour max after a game's in. Press and I will be in here again. And tomorrow night, we're both in high school stadiums, and we're going to have a load of content from that. We're going to be at 2 good ones tomorrow. Check us out at TigerBait.com. Thanks for being with us. Y'all have a good weekend. Go Tigers, and go give us a subscription to TigerBait. We want to have you. Good night. See y'all.